So this is Shug. It's S-H-U-G. It's Scottish for Hugh. And we just buried her brother, who's on the front porch. And so I started to cry before anything really even happened in the movie. They're identical. He has longer legs and just an exquisite beast. We had a long 16 and a half years together, and we just said our final goodbye in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, which is a really sacred place to us, part of the Appalachians, of course. And, you know, they're both working animals, and they just work for me. And it's so amusing to me that, you know, Buttermilk went off to dig and chase squirrels, but she will never let me out of her sight. And that's why she, if you look, it doesn't really cut together, because she's on the porch, and then she's in the kitchen, and then she's out by the truck again when Judy's actually still holding her. And I will, if you'll indulge me, I'll tell a brief story about her without the long preamble. But we were in LaGuardia Airport, and the terminals that go to Nashville and other sort of regional markets are really crowded and cramped, and I wasn't feeling particularly friendly that day, and so I tried to find an empty gate, and as soon as I took her leash and her vest off her, because we had flown from Czech Republic, she goes loping over to a fellow passenger, and I'm like, this is not very service animal-esque. And I walked over to the gentleman, and he asked her name and all those sorts of things. I said, this is Shug, and she works for me, and as most everybody knows, I'm in recovery, and a great conversation stopper, actually I can usually get the seat next to me vacated, is, well, I'm in recovery from major depression, and she's my psychiatric support animal. I don't always trot out the whole diagnosis. But in that particular instance, I did. I was really hoping I could shut it down. And he goes, oh, okay. So I walk back over, and I'm sitting with my dog, and a few moments later, I feel the shadow over me, and I'm like, what am I going to tell this guy? Are you dead suicidal to this? What is going to make this guy go away? Anyhow, he said, may I show you the letter I was writing when Shug came over to me? And I said, absolutely. And he said, this is my suicide note. I know, yeah. No, she's for real. And actually, I was up on the Appalachian Trail the day before yesterday at the ice water shelter near Charlie's Bunyan, and I came across a lone hiker, and he was a through traveler, and they just had about 2.5 feet of snow, and he'd been the first person through on a whole bunch of really treacherous, and he was very shaken up. He was a scared and frightened young man, and so I talked him through some stuff and gave him some food, and I said, is there a mother somewhere I could call on your behalf? And boy, was she a relieved woman in Massachusetts when I called her later. But when I left, I looked, and Shug wasn't by me. She was back in the shelter sitting next to him. She's a really special creature, so thank you for asking.